Deutsche Lufthansa AG, commonly known as Lufthansa, is the flag carrier of Germany and also the largest airline in Europe, both in terms of overall passengers carried and fleet size when combined with its subsidiaries. It operates services to 18 domestic destinations and 197 international destinations in 78 countries across Africa, the Americas, Asia, and Europe, using a fleet of more than 280 aircraft. Besides the actual airline named Lufthansa, Deutsche Lufthansa AG is also the parent company for several other airlines and further aviation-related branches. Among the most well-known are Swiss International Airlines and Lufthansa Technik. With over 620 aircraft, it has one of the largest passenger airline fleets in the world when combined with its subsidiaries. In 2012, the entire Lufthansa Group carried over 103 million passengers. Lufthansa's registered office and corporate headquarters are in Cologne. The main operations base, called Lufthansa Aviation Center, is located at Lufthansa's primary traffic hub at Frankfurt Airport. The majority of Lufthansa's pilots, ground staff, and flight attendants are based there. Lufthansa's secondary hub is Munich Airport with a third, considerably smaller one maintained at Düsseldorf Airport which transfers to Germanwings, so Lufthansa only operate just around 10 destinations excluded seasonal, which all has been transferred to Germanwings. Lufthansa is also a founding member of Star Alliance, the world's largest airline alliance, formed in 1997. Having been a state-owned enterprise until 1994, the majority of Lufthansa's shares are nowadays held by private investors, as well as Gesellschaft für Luftverkehrswert, Deutsche Postbank, and Deutsche Bank. Since 1970, Lufthansa has involved its employees in profit sharing, giving them the opportunity to choose between cash and preference shares. When Lufthansa was privatized, employees received more than 3% of its shares. The name of the company is derived from Luft and Hansa. History: 1950s, post-war formation. Lufthansa traces its history to 1926 when Deutsche Lufthansa AG was formed in Berlin, an airline that was Germany's flag carrier until 1945 when all services were suspended following the defeat of Germany. In an effort to create a new national airline, a company called Gesellschaft für Luftverkehrsbedarf was founded in Cologne on January 6, 1953, with many of his staff having worked for the pre-war Lufthansa. West Germany had not yet been granted sovereignty over its airspace, so it was unknown when the new airline could become operational. Nevertheless, in 1953 Lufthansa placed orders for 4 Convair-Cove 340s and 4 Lockheed L-1049 Super Constellations and set up a maintenance base at Hamburg Airport. On August 6, 1954, Lufthansa acquired the name and logo from the liquidated Deutsche Lufthansa for DM 30,000, thus continuing the tradition of a German flag carrier of that name. On April 1, 1955 Lufthansa got approval to start scheduled domestic flights, linking Hamburg, Düsseldorf, Frankfurt, Cologne, and Munich. International flights started on May 15, 1955, to London, Paris, and Madrid, followed by Super Constellation flights to New York City from June 1 of that year, and across the South Atlantic from August 1956. In August 1958 15 Lufthansa 1049gs and 1649s left Germany each week to Canada and the United States, 3 1049gs a week flew to South America, 3 flew to Tehran and 1 to Baghdad. Due to the special status of that city, Lufthansa was not allowed to fly to either part of Berlin until 1989. Originally thought to be only a temporary matter, the division of Germany turned out to be long-lasting, which gradually led to Frankfurt Airport evolving into the major hub for Lufthansa. East Germany tried to establish its own airline in 1955 using the Lufthansa name, but this resulted in a legal dispute with West Germany, where Lufthansa was operating. East Germany instead established Interflug as its national airline in 1963. Which coincided with the East German Lufthansa being shut down. 1960s, jetliner introduction. In 1958 Lufthansa ordered 4 Boeing 707s and started jet flights from Frankfurt to New York City in March 1960. Boeing 720BS were later bought to back up the 707 fleet. In February 1961 Far East routes were extended beyond Bangkok, Thailand, to Hong Kong and Tokyo. Lagos, Nigeria and Johannesburg, South Africa were added in 1962. Lufthansa introduced the Boeing 727 in 1964 and that May began the polar route from Frankfurt to Tokyo via Anchorage. In February 1965 the company ordered 21 Boeing 737s that went into service in 1968. Lufthansa was the first customer for the Boeing 737 and was one of 4 buyers of the 737-100s. Lufthansa was the first foreign launch customer for a Boeing airliner. 1970s are Euro 1980s, the wide-body era. The wide-body era for Lufthansa started with a Boeing 747 flight on April 26, 1970. It was followed by the introduction of the DC-10-30 on November 12, 1973, and the first Airbus A300 in 1976. In 1979 Lufthansa and Swissair were launch customers for the Airbus A310 with an order for 25 aircraft. The company's fleet modernization program for the 1990s began on June 29, 1985 with an order for 15 Airbus A320s and 7 Airbus A300-600s. 10 Boeing 737-300s were ordered a few days later. All were delivered between 1987 and 1992. Lufthansa also bought Airbus A321, Airbus A340, and the Boeing 747-400. In 1987 Lufthansa, together with Air France, Iberia, and SAS, founded Amadeus, an IT company that would enable travel agencies to sell the founders and other airlines' products from a single system. Lufthansa adopted a new corporate identity in 1988. The fleet was given a new livery while cabins, city offices, and airport lounges were redesigned. 1990s are Euro 2000s, further expansion. On October 28, 1990, 25 days after reunification, Berlin became a Lufthansa destination again. On May 18, 1997, Lufthansa, Air Canada, Scandinavian Airlines, Thai Airways, and United Airlines formed the Star Alliance, the world's first multilateral airline alliance. In 2000, Air One became a Lufthansa partner airline and nearly all Air One flights were code-shared with Lufthansa until Alitalia purchased Air One. Lufthansa has a good track record for posting profits. Even in 2001, after 9/11, the airline suffered a significant loss in profits but still managed to stay in the black. While many other airlines announced layoffs, Lufthansa retained its current workforce. On December 6, 2001, Lufthansa announced an order for 15 Airbus A380 Super Jumbos with 10 more options, which was confirmed on December 20. The A380 fleet will be used for long-haul flights from Frankfurt exclusively. In June 2003, Lufthansa opened Terminal 2 at Munich's Franz Josef Strauß Airport to relieve its main hub, Frankfurt, which was suffering from capacity constraints. It is one of the first terminals in Europe partially owned by an airline. In autumn 2003, the implementation of a new sales strategy initiated by the incumbent executive vice president Thierry Antinori to make the company fit for the digital era led to the abolition of commission payments for travel agencies and led to a revolution in the German travel business, with many travel agencies disappearing from the market on the one hand, and the rise of new digital distribution platforms on the other hand. On May 17, 2004, Lufthansa became the launch customer for the Connection by Boeing in-flight online connectivity service. On March 22, 2005, Swiss was purchased by Lufthansa Airlines. The acquisition included the provision that the majority shareholders be offered payment if Lufthansa's share price outperforms an airline index during the years following the merger. The two companies will continue to be run separately. On December 6, 2006, Lufthansa placed an order for 20 Boeing 747-8i airliners, becoming the launch customer of the type. The airline is also the second European airline to operate the Airbus A380. Their first A380 was delivered on May 19, 2010. On September 15, 2008, Lufthansa Group announced its purchase of a stake in Brussels Airlines. In June 2009, the EU Commission granted regulatory approval for this strategic partnership between Brussels Airlines and Lufthansa. The decision paved the way for Lufthansa to acquire an initial 45% stake in SN Air Holding SANV, the parent company of Brussels Airlines. Lufthansa has an option to purchase the remaining 55% of Brussels Airlines until 2017. In September 2009, Lufthansa purchases Austrian Airlines with the approval of the European Commission. On June 11, 2010, the Airbus A380 service was operated between Frankfurt and Tokyo. 2010's belt tightening, after a loss of €381 million in the first quarter of 2010 and another €13 million loss in the year 2011 due to the economic recession and the cost of restructuring, Deutsche Lufthansa AG cut 3,500 administrative positions or around 20% of the clerical total of 16,800. In 2012, Lufthansa announced a restructuring program called SCORE to improve its operating profit. As a part of the restructuring plan, the company started to transfer all short-haul flights outside its hubs in Frankfurt, Munich and R1 Düsseldorf to the Compagnie Euro unregistered trademark S rebranded low-cost carrier Germanwings. In September 2013, Lufthansa Group announced its biggest order, for 59 wide-body aircraft valued more than €14 billion at list prices. Earlier in the same year, Lufthansa placed an order for 100 next-generation narrow-body aircraft. Corporate affairs and identity. Headquarters. Lufthansa's corporate headquarters are located in Cologne, Germany. In 1971, Lawrence Fellows of the New York Times described the then-new headquarters building that Lufthansa occupied in Cologne as gleaming. In 1986, terrorists bombed the Lufthansa headquarters. No people received injuries as a result of the bombing. In 2006, the builders laid the first stone to the new Lufthansa headquarters in Deutz, Cologne. By the end of 2007, Lufthansa planned to move 800 employees, including the company's finance department, to the new building. Several Lufthansa departments are not located in the headquarters. Instead, they are located in the Lufthansa Aviation Center at Frankfurt Airport. The departments include corporate communications, investor relations, and media relations. In early 2013, Lufthansa revealed plans to relocate its head office from Cologne to Frankfurt by 2017. Subsidiaries. In addition to its main operation, Lufthansa has several subsidiaries, including airline subsidiaries, wholly owned by Lufthansa, ʻdɔಯ್t, an airline headquartered in Villafranca di Verona, Italy. Austrian Airlines, the national airline of Austria, based in Chișinău, Austria. Tyrolean Airways, once Austrian Airlines regional carrier, now ACMI operator flying under the Austrian brand. Lufthansa regional carriers, Eurowings, Lufthansa CityLine. Germanwings, previously the low-cost subsidiary of Eurowings. Lufthansa Cargo, an air cargo company. Swiss International Airlines, an airline with its head office at Basel Airport. Edelweiss Air, the charter arms of Swiss International Airlines. Swiss European Airlines. Partly owned by Lufthansa, Aerologic, German cargo airline owned 50% by Lufthansa in joint venture with DHL. Brussels Airlines, 45% owned by Lufthansa with an option to acquire the remaining shares in the future. JetBlue Airways, 15.85% owned by Lufthansa. Luxair, 14.44% owned by Lufthansa. Sun Express, airline based in Antalya, Turkey. 50% owned by Lufthansa and the remaining owned by Turkish Airlines. Lufthansa Commercial Holding, 19% owned by Lufthansa. Other operations, DLAKY, an insurance company specializing in air transport. Global Load Control, a world leader in remote weight and balance services. LSG Sky Chefs, the world's largest airline caterer, which accounts for 1/3 of the world's airline meals. Lufthansa Consulting, an international aviation consultant for airlines, airports and related industries. Lufthansa Flight Training, a provider of flight crew training services to various airlines and the main training arm for the airline's own pilots. Lufthansa Regional, a brand operated by an alliance of several small regional airlines, including Lufthansa CityLine. Lufthansa Systems, the largest European aviation IT provider. Lufthansa Technik, aircraft maintenance providers. Brand history: the Lufthansa logo, an encircled stylized crane in flight, was created in 1918 by Otto Firle. It was part of the livery of the first German airline, Deutsche Lufthansa AG, which began air service on February 5, 1919. In 1926, Deutsche Lufthansa adopted this symbol, and in 1954, Lufthansa expressed continuity by adopting it too. The original creator of the name Lufthansa is believed to be F. A. Fischer von Petersen. In 1925, he published a book entitled Lufthansa, which examined the options open to aviation policymakers at the time. Lufthansa was the name given to the new airline, which resulted from the merger of Junkers Airline and Deutsche Aero Lloyd. Alliances and partnerships. Commercial: Lufthansa is owned by private investors, MGL Gesellschaft für One-Quarter Luftverkehrswert, Deutsche Postbank and Deutsche Bank, and has 37,042 employees. On December 13, 2007, Lufthansa and US-based low-cost airline JetBlue announced the beginning of a partnership initiated through the 19% stake purchase in JetBlue shares by Lufthansa. This is the first major ownership investment by a European carrier in an American carrier since the Euro-US Open Skies Agreement became effective in 2008. In late 2007, the Lufthansa cargo hub dispute was started by Russia. Lufthansa was forced to relocate its cargo hub from Kazakhstan to Russia. On August 28, 2008, Lufthansa and Brussels Airlines announced that they were negotiating joining together. On September 15, 2008, it was jointly announced by both airlines that Lufthansa will acquire a 45% stake in Brussels Airlines with an option to acquire the remaining 55% from 2011. As a part of this deal, Brussels Airlines will join Star Alliance. Brussels entered into the Star Alliance in December 2009. On October 28, 2008, Lufthansa exercised its option to purchase a further 60% share in BMI. This resulted in a dispute with former owner Sir Michael Bishop, though. Both parties reached an agreement at the end of June 2009, so the acquisition could take place with effect from July 1, 2009. By acquiring the remaining 20% from Scandinavian Airlines, Lufthansa has full control over BMI since November 1, 2009. In November 2008, Lufthansa and Austrian Airlines announced a deal in which Lufthansa will buy the majority stock from the Austrian government. The deal was completed in January 2009. At the same time, Lufthansa announced that they are in serious talks with Scandinavian Airlines system about a merger between the two airlines, but Lufthansa would have to make great changes to SAS before this is viable because of the financial state of Scandinavian Airlines system over the last few years. In May 2009, it announced that talks are occurring about a closer commercial cooperation between the two companies, but that a takeover is not in Lufthansa's plans. Additionally, it announced that if British Airways was unable to complete its merger with Iberia, it would attempt to begin talks with the Spanish airline itself. In 2010, Lufthansa was named in a European Commission investigation into price fixing, but was not fined due to acting as a whistleblower. In November 2011, Lufthansa agreed to sell BMI to International Airlines Group, owner of British Airways and Iberia, pending approvals, for a £172.5 million. In July 2012, a Contiza Euro Lufthansa Technik maintenance deal for Trelew Marine Airport fell through due to having insufficient engine maintenance work to support the partnership. This resulted in 164 engineers becoming redundant. This follows just months after the closing of heavy maintenance operations, which resulted in 400 additional job losses. It was announced that the Lufthansa Technik Euro Qantas partnership would end in September. Technology. Until April 2009, Lufthansa inventory and departure control systems, based on Unisys, were managed by LH Systems. Lufthansa reservation systems were outsourced to Amadeus in the early 1990s. Following a decision to outsource all components of the passenger service system, the functions were outsourced to the Alta Copywriter platform managed by Amadeus. Partner airlines. Lufthansa built up a worldwide partner network, offering coordinated connections, common frequent flyer programs and code sharing. After the liquidation of Team Lufthansa, some of the former Team Lufthansa members were integrated into the partner program. All airlines remain independent and keep their own corporate identity. Lufthansa partners around the world are Air Malta, Malta, Air India, India, Luxair, Luxembourg. Sponsorships. Lufthansa sponsors Bundesliga club Bayern Munich. Destinations. Code-share agreements. Besides fellow Star Alliance members, Lufthansa has code-share agreements with the following airlines. Fleet. As of June 2014, the Lufthansa fleet consists of the following aircraft with an average age of 12.2 years. A Lufthansa doesn't specify if these options are for A320-200 or A320neo. Fleet history. Over the years, Lufthansa has operated the following aircraft types. Aircraft naming conventions. In September 1960, the Lufthansa Boeing 707, which would serve the Frankfurt-New York intercontinental route, was christened Berlin after the divided city of Berlin by then-Mayor Willy Brandt. Following the Berlin, other Lufthansa 707 planes were named Hamburg, Frankfurt, Ma 1/4 NCHEN, and Bonn. With these names, the company established a tradition of naming the planes in its fleet after German cities and towns or federal states, with a general rule of thumb that the airplane make, size, or route would correspond roughly to the relative size or importance of the city or town it was named after. This tradition has continued to this day, with two notable exceptions until 2010. The first was an Airbus A340-300 registered DAIFC, named Gander Halifax, named after Gander and Halifax, two Canadian cities along the standard flight path from Europe to North America. It became the first Lufthansa airplane named after a non-German city. The name is meant to commemorate the hospitality of the communities of Gander and Halifax, which served as improvised safe havens for the passengers and crew of the multitude of international aircraft unable to return to their originating airports after the September 11, 2001 attacks. The other aircraft not named after a German city was an Airbus A321-100 registered as DAIRA, which was designated Finkenida in honor of the collaborative Airbus facility in the borough of Hamburg-Finkenida, where about 40% of Airbus narrowbody models are manufactured. In February 2010, Lufthansa announced that the first two Airbus A380s delivered would be named Frankfurt am Main and Ma 1/4 NCHEN, following its naming tradition. However, the subsequent A380 aircraft are named after Star Alliance hub cities like Tokyo, Beijing, Brussels, and New York. Vintage aircraft restoration. Lufthansa Technik, the airline's maintenance arm, restored a Junkers Ju 52/3M built in 1936 to airworthiness. This aircraft was in use on the 10-hour Berlin to Rome route, across the Alps, in the 1930s. Lufthansa is now restoring a Lockheed Super Constellation, using parts from 3 such aircraft bought at auction. Lufthansa's Super Constellations and L-1649 Starliners served routes such as Hamburg, Madrid, Dakar, Caracas, Santiago. Lufthansa Technik recruits retired employees and volunteers for skilled labor. Cabin. First class. Lufthansa First Class is offered on most long-haul aircraft. Each seat converts to a 2 meters bed, includes laptop power outlets, as well as entertainment facilities. On Boeing 747-400s, first class is situated on the upper deck, with a window side bed and aisle seat all as part of one ticket. Meals are available on demand. Lufthansa offers dedicated first-class check-in counters at most airports, and offers dedicated first-class lounges in Frankfurt and Munich, as well as a dedicated first-class terminal in Frankfurt. Arriving passengers have the option of using Lufthansa's first-class arrival facilities, as well as the new Welcome Lounge. Lufthansa has introduced a new first-class product aboard the Airbus A380 and plans to gradually introduce it on all of its long-haul aircraft. With the new program score, introduced to boost profits by €1.5 billion over the following years, LH will stop route expansion and extensively decrease its first-class offerings on most routes. Business class: Lufthansa's long-haul business class is offered on all long-haul aircraft. Each seat converts to a 2 meters angled lie-flat bed and includes laptop power outlets and entertainment facilities. Lufthansa offers dedicated business class check-in counters at all airports, as well as dedicated business class lounges at most airports, or contract lounges at other airports, as well as the Lufthansa Welcome Lounge upon arrival in Frankfurt. A new business class cabin debuted on Boeing 747-8 aircraft in 2012. It has fully flat seats, instead of the former angled lie-flat seats, and a larger seat-back entertainment screen. The seats are gradually being rolled out across the rest of Lufthansa's wide-body fleet. Premium Economy: introduced in 2014, Lufthansa's long-haul Premium Economy is being rolled out on all long-haul aircraft, starting with a select number of Boeing 747-8s. Similar in design to United Airlines Economy Plus or British Airways World Traveller Plus cabins, Premium Economy features 38-inch pitch along with up to 3 inches more width than Economy class, depending on the aircraft. The seats also feature 11 or 12 inches personal seat-back entertainment screens and a larger armrest separating seats. Economy class: Lufthansa's long-haul economy class is offered on all long-haul aircraft. All have a 31-inch seat pitch except the Airbus A340s, which have a 32-inch seat pitch. Passengers receive meals, as well as free drinks. Moreover, the whole fleet offers audio-video on-demand screens in economy class. Miles and More: Lufthansa's frequent flyer program is called Miles and More, and is shared among several European airlines, including Austrian Airlines, Adria Airways, Croatia Airlines, LOT Polish Airlines, Luxair, Swiss International Airlines, and Brussels Airlines. Miles and More members may earn miles on Lufthansa flights and Star Alliance partner flights, as well as through Lufthansa credit cards, and purchases made through the Lufthansa shops. Status within Miles and More is determined by miles flown during one calendar year with specific partners. Membership levels include Miles and More member, Frequent Traveler threshold or 30 individual flights, Senator threshold, and Honorable Circle threshold over 2 calendar years. All Miles and More status levels higher than Miles and More member offer lounge access and executive bonus miles, with the higher levels offering more exclusive benefits. Lounges, Overview and Access: Lufthansa operates 4 types of lounges: First Class, Senator, Business, and Welcome lounges. Each departure lounge is accessible both through Travel Class, or Miles and More Star Alliance status. The Welcome Lounge is limited to arriving premium passengers of the Lufthansa Group and United Airlines only. First Class Terminal: Lufthansa operates a first-class terminal at Frankfurt Airport. The first terminal of its kind, access is limited only to departing Lufthansa First Class and Honorable Circle members. Approximately 200 staff care for approximately 300 passengers per day in the terminal, which features a full-service restaurant, full bar, cigar lounge, relaxation rooms, and offices, as well as bath facilities. Guests are driven directly to their departing flight by Mercedes-Benz S-Class, Porsche Cayenne, Porsche Panamera, or Mercedes-Benz Fino. Accidents and Incidents: This is a list of accidents and incidents involving Lufthansa mainline aircraft since 1954. For earlier occurrences, refer to Deutsche Lufthansa. For accidents and incidents on Lufthansa-branded flights which were operated by other airlines, see the respective articles. Fatal: On January 11, 1959, Lufthansa Flight 502, a Lufthansa Lockheed Super Constellation crashed onto a beach shortly off Galeão Airport in Rio de Janeiro following a scheduled passenger flight from Hamburg, Germany. Of the 29 passengers and 10 crew members on board, only the co-pilot and 2 flight attendants survived. Investigation into the accident resulted in blaming the pilots for having executed a too low approach, which may have been caused by fatigue. On December 4, 1961, a Lufthansa Boeing 720 crashed of unknown causes near Mainz during a training flight from Frankfurt to Cologne, killing the 3 occupants. It was the first crash involving an aircraft of that type. On July 15, 1964, another Boeing 720 crashed during a training flight, with the 3 people on board losing their lives. The accident occurred near Ansbach after the pilots had lost control of the aircraft when executing an aileron roll. On January 28, 1966 at 17:50 local time, Lufthansa Flight 5 from Frankfurt to Bremen, which was operated using a Convair Co. 440 Metropolitan registered DACAT, crashed 0.5 kilometers short of Bremen Airport, killing all 42 passengers and 4 crew members on board. The pilots had tried to execute a go-around when approaching the airport, during which the aircraft stalled and went out of control, possibly due to pilot error. On November 20, 1974 at 7:54 local time, Lufthansa Flight 540, a Boeing 747-100, crashed shortly after takeoff at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in what was the first air accident involving a Boeing 747. 55 out of the 140 passengers and 4 out of the 17 crew lost their lives, making it the worst accident in the history of the airline. On July 26, 1979 at 21:32 UTC, a cargo-configured Boeing 707 that was en route Lufthansa Flight 527 from Rio de Janeiro to Dakar and onwards to Germany crashed into a mountain 25 kilometers from Galeão Airport during initial climb, killing the 3 crew members on board. A flawed communication between the pilots and the air traffic controller had resulted in the aircraft flying on a wrong path. On September 14, 1993, Lufthansa Flight 2904, an Airbus A320-200 flying from Frankfurt to Warsaw with 64 passengers and 4 crew members on board, overran the runway upon landing at Warsaw-Okęcie Airport, and crashed into an earth embankment, resulting in the death of the co-pilot and 1 passenger. Non-fatal, on December 20, 1973 at 0:33 local time, a Lufthansa Boeing 707 with 98 passengers and 11 crew members on board collided with a middle marker shack upon approaching Palam Airport in Delhi following a scheduled passenger flight from Bangkok. There were no injuries, but the aircraft was damaged beyond repair. At the time of the incident, there had been poor visibility conditions. Hijackings. In 1972, the year of the Munich Summer Olympics, there were 4 reported hijackings involving Lufthansa aircraft. On February 22, Flight 649, a Boeing 747-200 with 172 passengers and 15 crew members on board was hijacked en route from Delhi to Athens by 5 Palestinian terrorists who thus wanted to press a $5 million ransom from the German government. The aircraft landed at Aden International Airport, and the hostages were released on the following day once the demands of the perpetrators were accepted. On July 10, a similar hijacking attempt occurred on board a Lufthansa Boeing 737-100 during a flight from Cologne to Munich. October 11 saw a Boeing 727 being hijacked on a flight from Lisbon to Frankfurt. Upon landing at Frankfurt Airport, the perpetrator tried to flee but was captured by police forces. On October 29, 2 men hijacked Flight 615 with 11 other passengers and 7 crew members on board during a flight from Beirut to Ankara, in order to liberate the 3 surviving members of the Black September group responsible for the Munich massacre. Whilst the hijacked Boeing 727 was forced to circle over Zagreb Airport in danger of eventual fuel starvation, the West German authorities decided to comply with the demands. The prisoners were handed over and the aircraft was allowed to be flown to Tripoli, where the hostages were released. On December 17, 1973, in the wake of the events surrounding Pan Am Flight 110, A parked Lufthansa Boeing 737-100 was hijacked at Leonardo da Vinci Fiumicino Airport in Rome. 10 Italian hostages that had been taken by Palestinian terrorists at the airport were forced into the aircraft by 5 perpetrators, and the German crew that was on board preparing the departure to Munich had to fly the aircraft instead first to Athens and then to several other airports, until the ordeal ended at Kuwait International Airport the next day, where the hijackers surrendered. On June 28, 1977, a Lufthansa Boeing 727 was hijacked during a flight from Frankfurt to Istanbul and forced to divert to Munich. The hijacking of the Landshut occurred on October 13, 1977, at a time when West Germany had come under intense terroristic pressure known as German Autumn. The Boeing 737-200 was hijacked en route Flight 181 from Palma de Mallorca to Frankfurt by 4 terrorists of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, who thus wanted to force the German government to release several RAF terrorists. The crew had to divert the aircraft with 87 other passengers first to Rome, and then onwards to Larnaca, Bahrain, Dubai, Aden, and finally to Mogadishu in an ordeal that took several days. At Mogadishu Airport, the German GSG-9 Special Forces stormed the aircraft in the early hours of October 18 local time, killing 3 terrorists and freeing all hostages. On September 12, 1979, a hijacking attempt occurred on board a Lufthansa Boeing 727 on a flight from Frankfurt to Cologne, but the perpetrator quickly surrendered. 3 hijackings occurred in due course in early 1985. On February 27, a Boeing 727 was hijacked en route a Lufthansa flight from Frankfurt to Damascus. 2 perpetrators forced the pilots to divert the aircraft to Vienna International Airport, where they surrendered. On March 27, another 727 was hijacked, this time on a flight from Munich to Athens. A man demanded the pilots to divert to Libya. During a fuel stop at Istanbul, the aircraft was stormed and the perpetrator arrested. Only 2 days later, a mentally ill person on board a Lufthansa Boeing 737-200 on a flight from Hamburg to London demanded to be taken to Hawaii instead. On February 11, 1993, Lufthansa Flight 592 from Frankfurt to Addis Ababa via Cairo with 94 passengers and 10 crew members was hijacked during the first leg by 20-year-old Nebuyusa Demek, who forced the pilots to divert the Airbus A310 to the United States, with the intent of securing the right of asylum there. Demek, who had been on the flight in order to be deported back to his native Ethiopia, surrendered to authorities upon arrival at John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York City. No passengers or crew members were harmed during the 12-hour ordeal. See also, Air Transport in Germany, List of airlines of Germany, Notes. References. External links, media related to Lufthansa at Wikimedia Commons, official website.